high income ETFs have become extremely popular over the last few years, and it's almost like we're seeing a new ETF introduced every single month. And each one has a unique take on the high income strategy. And the goal here is to break these ETFs down in detail so that you as the investor can determine whether these ETFs belong in your portfolio. Now, the most common strategy these ETFs use is the covered call strategy. And for those that don't know, this is where you simply sell call options on your underlying holdings to generate premium income, which is then distributed to investors as a dividend, with yields typically upwards of 10 to 12 or even 15%. Now, something that I've mentioned time and time again is that covered calls have one major trade-off, and that is the cap on growth potential. When you sell calls, you're trading that growth potential for income generation. But that is not the only thing you're getting. You see, that premium income helps cushion volatility. It essentially acts as a counterweight to a dropping stock price. And that is why these funds have lower beta values relative to the index that they track. So when you look at prominent covered call ETFs like SPYI, QQQI, which sell call options on the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100 respectively, they're able to mitigate some of that volatility. But what if you could generate the same premium income with the high dividend yield and dampen your volatility without placing a cap on growth potential? I mean, is that even possible? Well, there's a new ETF on the scene that has done exactly that so far, and it's completely changed the high income strategy. The ETF we're discussing today completely avoids covered calls entirely, and with a dividend yield of around 10 to 11%, this ETF has become the hottest topic among income investors. And I have to say, its performance has been exceptional so far. This is the only high income ETF that has been able to outperform its benchmark, the S&P 500, consistently since inception. But it's also been able to outperform every other high income ETF in its category. So you're getting strong income potential and strong total returns. So this must be the perfect ETF, right? And this brings me to OVL, the Overlay Shares Large Cap Equity ETF. A lot of you guys have been requesting this ETF in the comments, and please continue to comment which ETFs you want us to review. I will do my best to prioritize them. So to begin, let's just run through the fundamentals of this ETF so that you can get a better understanding before moving forward. OVL was launched in September of 2019, and it currently has around $350 million of assets under management. So this ETF has actually been around for quite some time. Actually, even longer than the most popular high-income ETFs on the market, like JEPI, JEPQ, QQQY, etc. So if it's such a good ETF, why does it only have $350 million in assets? Well, here's the first clue. That 10% yield wasn't always there. When you look at the dividend yield history of this ETF on Seeking Alpha, you see that majority of its lifespan, it was yielding around 3 to 4% max. It was only until the end of 2025 where the fund managers decided to boost the fund's dividend yield all the way up to 10%. Now on top of that, the dividends used to be distributed every quarter, but now it's distributed every month. So the fund managers clearly realized that by boosting the yield frequency and the yield itself, they will attract a lot more investors. And that is exactly what happened. When you look at the fund's market cap, you can clearly see a sharp burst in assets once those changes were made. Now, it's important to note that when you look at the fund's dividend yield on platforms like Seeking Alpha, you see that the yield is listed at around 7%. And that is only because a full year has not passed with this higher distribution rate. So it is averaging out the lower rate from last year. So that low historical rate is, in my opinion, one of the main reasons why this fund was unnoticed for such a long time. But with this change, I do believe a lot more investors are going to start flocking to the ETF. But unfortunately, that is not the only reason. And the next few reasons I'm about to outline are a little bit more concerning. So definitely stick around. So now let's move on to the fund holdings. OVL holds roughly 100% of VOO. That's it. No stock picking, no factor bets, no sector tilts. You're just holding the S&P 500. So where does the high dividend come from? Well, it's entirely from what sits on top of that VOO position, and that is a put spread overlay. Yes, instead of selling call options, this ETF is selling put spreads. Now, the term put spread overlay sounds a little intimidating, but it's actually very simple. And I actually used to trade this strategy as a full-time options trader. So I know a lot about put spreads. So I'm gonna break this down as simply as possible. And by the way, if you guys want access to the same tools that I'm using every single day, I highly suggest to sign up with Seeking Alpha. You guys can use the link down below to get $30 off their premium plan, or $160 off their premium and alpha picks bundle. These prices do go up over time, so definitely take advantage of it. Now back to the video. All right, now in order to understand the benefits and the risks to put spreads, we have to start with the first step, and that is selling a put option. So let's say you want to own shares of the S&P 500, but you think it's a little too expensive today. So instead of buying, you sell a put at, let's say, a $700 strike price with 30 days to expiration. You collect premium immediately, let's say $1,000. Now, if the index falls to your strike price by expiration, you get assigned shares, meaning you have to buy shares of the S&P 500 at that cheaper price. But remember, you got to keep the premium you collected. So essentially, you just got paid to wait until the S&P 500 came down to a favorable price. However, if the index keeps climbing, well, you just simply collected premium and the put expires worthless, and you repeat the process. But here's the catch. When you sell a put option, you have to hold cash to secure it, not shares, cash. That is why it's called a cash secured put. So going back to our example, I have to have enough cash to purchase 100 shares of the S&P 500 at my selected strike price for every put option that I decide to sell. So if I sold one put option, I need to have at least $70,000 in my account. If I sold two put options, it would be $140,000. So a fund that only sells put options has no exposure to actual shares of the underlying index. All the returns of that ETF would be dictated by premium income. And this is exactly how ETFs like WTPI work. And when you look at that fund's holding breakdown, you don't see any shares of the S&P 500. All you see is S&P 500 put options. So OVL wanted something more. They wanted exposure to the underlying index with added premium income on top, but without capping growth potential. And that is where the put spread comes in. So here's a put spread explained step by step. So first, the fund managers sell a put option at a strike price that is below the current trading price of the S&P 500, collecting premium up front. Let's say $1,000. And then they buy a second put option at a strike price that is further out of the money, so further below the current trading price of the S&P 500. Since options get cheaper the further out of the money they go, that put option costs less, say $500. So they sell the put option, collect $1,000, and then they buy one for $500, leaving you with $500 in net premium. This combination is known as the bull-put spread, and this is a bullish bet on the S&P 500. That is the most important thing to remember. But the structure is exactly what lets OVL hold the S&P 500 at the same time. You see, a cash secured put forces you to hold the full $70,000 in cash. Nothing left to buy the index. But a spreads loss is capped, and that changes everything. And I'll explain the cap on losses in just a second. But because the risk is defined and much smaller, the fund doesn't need to park cash on the side. The S&P 500 shares themselves act as the collateral backing the spreads. And the easiest way to think of this is that OVL is essentially getting paid to bet that the market stays above that sold put option strike price. And as long as it does, the fund keeps collecting premium. So in a rising market, you're collecting income on top of your equity gains. And even in a sideways or even slightly downward trending market, you're still collecting premium income. And that premium compounds over time and adds to the fund's growth, which is exactly why OVL has been able to outperform its underlying index, the S&P 500. All right, so now that you understand how a put spread works, this is the part that you cannot skip because we have to discuss the risks. Remember how covered call funds like SPYI or QQQI collect premium and dampen volatility? Well, OVL kind of does the same, but other times it can actually cause more pain. And I know that sounds funny, but it all depends on the type of market and how well the fund managers are managing those put spread contracts. And really no other ETF behaves like this. So the best way to understand this is if we compare two very different types of selling pressure in the market. The first one was the selling pressure we saw in March of 2026, which was just a few months ago, and the other one is the bear market of 2022. This past March, the markets fell around 7 to 10%. But when you look at OVL's charts next to the S&P 500, you can see it actually cushioned the drawdowns. And that's all thanks to the premium it was able to collect. But now look at 2022. That was a relentless, rate-driven decline all year long. Week after week, the fund sold put spreads, and week after week, those put spreads lost money because the market kept falling below the sold put strike. And by year end, OVL had actually underperformed the S&P 500 by around 5%, which is pretty significant. And in the 2025 tariff-driven sell-off, it underperformed the S&P 500 again. Depending on the type of market and the severity of the selling pressure, OVL's ability to dampen that is not consistent. Now, what do I mean by handling those losses? As mentioned, the put spread starts to lose value once the market falls below the sold put. But because it's a spread, there's a hard cap on how much you can lose. And that cap is the distance between the sold put and the purchased put. Say I sell a put at a 700 strike on the S&P 500 and then buy a put at a 680 strike. The spread between those two contracts is 20 points. And because options are priced in hundreds, the maximum loss on that spread is $2,000. But don't forget, you collected premium for selling the put spread. So let's say $500. So the real worst case scenario is a $1,500 loss. You see, the fund isn't just selling one put spread. It is selling multiple put spreads at a certain expiration date and then another set of put spreads at a further expiration date. So each one of those put spreads, if we go back to our example, can lose up to $1,500. So if the market reverses hard and I'm sitting on, let's say, 100 open put spreads, I can take heavy losses if I do not close those positions in time. And that is exactly why the fund managers must be able to manage these put spreads extremely well, especially when we see selling pressure. And to be honest, there's no doubt in my mind that these guys are very good at what they do. I mean, we've seen 6 years of performance history with this ETF. So it's been through the 2020 pandemic, the 2022 bear market, 2025 tariff-driven sell-off. So there's a lot of history to work off of here. Now, the last thing we have to discuss is tax efficiency. Now, historically, the fund's distributions have included a meaningful return of capital component. So around 65% ROC in 2025, 32% in 2024, and 78% in 2023. As you can see, ROC distributions fluctuate year to year. It's never a fixed guarantee. But given the boost in distribution this year, I'm expecting a higher percentage to come through as ROC, which is great news. So who is this ETF actually for? Well, in my honest opinion, if you're an investor that already holds the S&P 500, OVL can potentially serve as a replacement if you want to squeeze more yield out of that holding. But what this ETF is not is a hedge. If you're looking for an ETF to help dampen volatility, OVL is a hit and miss. It can help you, but it can also hurt you more in the process, depending on the type of market that we're in. But again, we've seen over 6 years of historical performance with this ETF. So I am very confident that the fund managers know exactly what they're doing. And that is all for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and also comment down below if you have any questions about the ETF. I will do my best to answer every single one of them. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial, investment, tax, or legal advice. Discussions of ETFs, investing strategies, market updates, or specific funds are general, not tailored to your financial situation, and should not be relied upon for decision-making. Investing involves significant risks, including total loss of principal, and past performance does not guarantee future results. I am not a registered financial advisor. My content reflects personal research and publicly available information. I may earn affiliate commissions from mentioned products or links disclosed per FTC guidelines, but these do not influence my opinions. Always consult a licensed financial professional and verify information independently. By watching this, you agree I am not liable for any losses or consequences from your actions. International viewers should consult local regulations.